Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we are going to review Hitchhiker, a mystery game VR, a game released on the Oculus storefronts on March 10th, 2022 by developer Mad About Pandas. It normally retails for $20. I bought it at that price and it is cross-buy, so if you buy it on the Meta Quest 2 storefront, you will also receive the PCVR Oculus Rift version. I did play this game on both platforms, PCVR and Quest 2, and I found the PCVR version to be the better experience, so that's where I played mostly in. It did take me less than 3 hours to complete the game. Hitchhiker, a mystery game, is a narrative-driven game with some very light puzzle elements, and I want to avoid spoilers as much as possible, so I will keep my plot summary very generic. Basically, you're Copernicus, you're a hitchhiker, and you're kind of lost, and you basically listen to 5 different people tell different stories that may relate to your current predicament. And basically, as the player, you're in the same situation as Copernicus. You're trying to figure out what's going on, what is real, what is not, and you're having the same struggle as Copernicus, and you have to make some choices along the way. Now, I don't think these choices really end up mattering much. They do change some of the flavor text, but I don't believe they change anything about the main plot points here. And there is quite a lot left to interpretation and for you to figure out how to piece these different story threads together. None of the puzzles here were difficult at all, so if you're the type of person who doesn't like tough puzzles, don't worry, this is very casual style puzzles. On the other hand, if you're looking for challenging puzzles, this is not the game for you. This is not a puzzle driven game. Again, it's a narrative driven game, so it's closer to a walking simulator than anything else. Now, personally, I felt that Hitchhiker, a mystery game VR was a mixed bag. I enjoyed some of the stories here. The voice acting was great. However, some of the stories were not that good, and I failed to see the story as a whole come together in a meaningful way. It was more like a hodgepodge of stories, and some of them stuck the landing and some of them just didn't. And I found some of the dialogue was very interesting to listen to, even if it was off topic, but some of the conversations were also pretty dull, and I found myself almost yawning. The visuals here were also a mixed bag. There were definitely some parts of this experience that I really enjoyed looking at, especially some of the 180 3D scenes here where you're being told a story and some very trippy visuals happen, and that's really the best part about this game. However, most of the visuals here are just poorly translated to VR. Very low textures, very low resolution. I honestly thought the Quest 2 standalone version visuals were very ugly to look at, so I just had to play this on PC VR, but even then I noticed some issues. There was lots of pop-in, some visual artifacts, and just some very low textures, and just some very poor artwork. And part of this video is recorded from the Quest 2 standalone version, and you can really tell the difference. It is not easy on the eyes at all. On top of that, you just have very poor VR interactions overall. I believe all of them are point and click. You basically have a laser pointing out of your finger and you just select a choice. So there's very little actually immersive about this experience in VR. It doesn't help that it's very obvious this experience was optimized for the Meta Quest experience versus PC VR, and it really does show even on the PC VR version. Hitchhiker, a mystery game VR, is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting steady 90 frames per second. I did not experience any serious issues or bugs, and this is a seated experience. There is no locomotion. Now again, I did enjoy the voiceovers. I thought the voice actors all did a really good job, and I also liked the musical soundtrack. And as I mentioned, I did like parts of some of the stories, and I did like some of the animated 180 3D scenes here that are intermittent between some of the stories. However, I did find the overall narrative to be pretty confusing, and parts of it were just straight out boring or just meandering. And this is a pretty linear experience. The only reason to replay it is to hear some of the additional flavor text. At the end of the day, I have to say I found this to be a pretty poor VR port because it's obvious they downgraded the visuals for the Meta Quest, and then the VR implementation is also poor. Overall, if I have to score this, I would give it a 3 out of 5 5
They're from a
stars.
farm.
It's just very mediocre, pretty forgettable experience, and I do think it's odd that this game that's been out for a while that's non-VR normally retails for $15, but for the VR version they increased the price to $20. So again, if I have to score this, I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty mediocre. There are some good parts to this experience, but there's just as many bad parts to this experience. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you enjoyed my video review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Strange. They're Thompson seedless. Good raisins. We still farm more of those in California than anywhere on Earth. You want to know the clearest evidence that reality isn't real? Raisins and grapes, man. They're the same thing, but they taste disgusting when eaten together. Obvious bug in the program there, right? Memory's a slippery thing. Think about when somebody asks you about this ride later, assuming you even know where you're going, and get someplace where somebody can ask you. Hey, how'd you get here anyway? They'll ask you. Oh, I hitched. And your brain will flash back for a second when you say this. And it'll show you a frozen snapshot of yourself, sitting in this car, talking to me like we are right now. But which moment will it actually show you? Will it be this one? Or this one? Or this one? We think we remember how people really were, how our lives together really were. But when we think back to them, even the people we cared about the most, all we're doing is snatching moments out of the air. Just grabbing another raisin out of the box.